So welcome to teaching life story writing classes in your community. First of all, a little bit about me. I'm a counselor, an art therapist, a writer, editor, educator, and a personal historian, and I'm the director of Learn Online Academy. I've been teaching life story writing for many, many years, and I absolutely love it. But first of all, just how I began doing this. I started with my father-in-law. He was married for 60 years and had 4 children and 4 grandchildren. And for years, my eldest son would show up at family gatherings at Grandma and Grandpa's house. He'd show up early, and he would take his cassette tape recorder. This was in the 90s, and he would sit with his grandfather, and he'd say, "Grandpa, tell me your stories." And Grandpa did. So he recorded story after story after story, many, many tapes of Grandpa telling his story. He was British, but he was born in Costa Rica to his British parents who had traveled there and owned a coffee plantation. They were British citizens and also Costa Rican citizens. They had dual citizenship. Here's Dad on his horse. He was later a plantation owner himself. In 1934, he rode into town to get some supplies, I guess. He went back to England and served in the RAF, the Royal Air Force, during World War II. He was a family man. He's my father-in-law. My husband is the tall little guy in the middle here with his sister and his other brother, and he had another sister that came after this picture. They had 4 children. He was a horticulturalist. He loved orchids. He loved his garden. And at 90, he had a big birthday party. And I realized that nobody had listened to these cassette tapes that my son had made. They hadn't gotten around to listening to them, and I thought something needs to be done. So I started transcribing them and talking about his grandchildren. My children were the eldest, because my husband was the oldest child. So my 3 children, Louis, Julie, and Jeff, this is their pictures when they were little and when they were grown. And the youngest were twins, Colin and Laura, and my sister-in-law, Mary. What I did was I made a book for Dad's book. And I wrote the book as a children's story. And I had a lot of pictures in there of Dad in his days and growing up in Costa Rica, having the coffee plantation, riding his horse around. And he sat in a chair with his 5-year-old grandchildren at that time and read the story to them. I just put the book in his hands. I just finished it and gave it to him. And when he finished, he looked up at me with his big blue eyes. Tears were streaming down his face. And he said, "Thank you, Anita." It just meant so much to him to see his life in writing and to be able to sit there and read it to his grandchildren. And they loved it. I knew right then that I wanted to help others preserve their life story. My life took a different direction from what I was doing. And I went back to school and got a second master's degree in gerontology. And I started teaching life story classes at a gerontology center at California State University, where I graduated from in Southern California here. And in my life story classes, participants meet weekly for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or 10 weeks. It's very flexible. You can schedule it any way you want. They learn life story ideas and writing tips. They write a 2-page story each week. They read their story in their small reading group. They hear the stories of others, and they gather their stories into books. Now, I have them write short books of their story collections, 9 or 10 stories to begin with, maybe 40 to 60 pages on average, with pictures and everything in there. And they do the first one and get that out to family members, and then they can start on their next book. I encourage them to make short books for many reasons. For one thing, they don't want to wait till they have 300 pages. It's too much for family to read. It may never get finished, and it's too big of a project. So to break it down into small books and then make a series of them, I've had people make 5 or 6 books. So they keep signing up for the class. They keep coming back. I have Life Storybook Workshop 1, and then I teach Life Storybook Workshop 2. And they keep coming back to the second workshop. I had to add more classes because people want to keep writing. They're 2-page stories each week. And if they can write a letter or tell a story, that's all they need to know to be a part of your Life Storybook Workshop when you're teaching it. And what I've learned is all of us need to write down our life stories. Alone, it's not easy to do. But in a life story writing group, it happens. And you can help people do it. Helping people share their lives with their family is a gift that will be there for decades from now for future generations of families. So it's something that will be on the shelf 100 years from now. That book will still be there. Now, why write life stories? You might have many ideas yourself. They can leave a legacy. They can speak to future generations. They can preserve family history. They can inspire other people in their small group, in their family. They can resolve past issues as they write about it and self-reflect and look back. They can raise their own self-esteem by being in such a class because they honor their lives. They explore their lives. They strengthen a sense of purpose in their life. They enjoy self-discovery. They have a raised sense of well-being and self-esteem. You know, I just see it over and over again how people blossom in these classes, and they change. They literally change. They're coming in with their heads held higher. They love the process. They love learning about other people's stories and sharing their own, and they give a treasured gift to their family. They come back with stories after having given their book to their family. Their grandchildren would say, "Grandma, you wrote this book?" They just feel so proud that they did it because they're in the class doing it. You give them a lot of guidance, suggestions, but they do it themselves, and that's the beauty of this process. Now, why teach life story? Why would you want to do it? People come into my classes because they want to help people. They want to follow their passion. They want to feel fulfilled. They want to touch lives in meaningful ways. They want to contribute to history. They want to raise their participants' self-esteem. They want to earn income, but they want to do it doing something that they love. They want to provide a meaningful service in their communities, and they want to feel proud and happy about what they do. And all of these things come to fruition when you're teaching life story. You just can't help it. As a life story instructor, you provide the guidance, the structure, and the ideas. You create a safe environment for participants to share their stories. That's very important. Confidentiality is important in our classes. We stress that so that they know that what they share in their small group stays in their small group. They don't go out into the hallway and start talking about other people's stories to people that are not in the class. You are the cheerleader, providing encouragement. You help them bring their stories to life. You turn your participants into authors of their own storybook. You provide a gift for them, which is the gift of being listened to. That's so powerful. When they're heard, when they come in with their 2-page story each week to their small group who are all eager to hear each other's stories, it's very, very powerful. A lot of times we're not listened to enough, especially when people get older. You can teach this class to any age level you want. I've taught it in high schools. I've done mommy and me classes where I've had stay-at-home moms write the stories and bring them in with their children. And I have art activities for the kids while the moms are sharing stories. I've taught it in community centers. I've taught it in so many different venues and in university gerontology centers, in adult education, nursing facilities, in assisted living facilities and retirement communities. Just in many, many places you can teach this. In my class that I teach you online, how to teach life story classes, you receive everything you need to get started teaching life story. I spent many hours creating handouts, hours and hours and hours. I loved it. I couldn't wait to get to my computer. I would think of another idea, or I'd run across a poem or something to share, or I'd think of something else that I could share with them. I taught them all kinds of things based on the questions they asked in class, and I created more than 100 handouts for different purposes. Okay, so in my class, you will learn how to find teaching venues out there. I've already mentioned many different venues you can teach this at. How to get participants, a little publicity, and how to reach them. How to use all the handouts that I provide. I guide individuals, small or large groups. You learn how to do that. You can do small groups. You can do even one-on-one groups. I've done one-on-one groups with families where I've worked with them individually, even online or in the community. I'll teach you all the different options that I have experienced and learned how to make books. There are many different ways, or how to find a print buying services. I've made them myself, hardbound books, softbound books. I've found good sources of printing and binding that are reasonably priced that you can use. I'll share all that with you. How to offer related classes and services. If you're interested, you might want to teach one class a week. That's your prerogative. You might want to teach more as you go through this. There are springboard classes and things that you can teach, like how to design a book or how to lay out pages of a book when people are ready to do that. So I'll teach you. I'll give you all kinds of ideas of other classes you can teach. Now, the fee for the course is regularly $295 for the 4-week course. It's 2 hours per week. Right now, you save $100. It's just $197 US dollars. And what you receive in the course is 24/7 access to all the training videos for 1 full year. They're online. You can log into those anytime. Also, if you miss a session, it's available for you to view. You won't miss anything. You get more than 100 copyright-free editable handouts to use in your classes. You can adapt them to your own purposes. I made them all copyright-free except for poems and things that are copyrighted that I share in my classes, and I'll give you some of those, but those will be indicated. Well, all the material that I write, I decided to give away, to provide for people, because I have hundreds of you out there teaching this all over the world. Instead of copywriting it and trying to hang on to it, I want it to be out there being used, touching people's lives. I want you to be able to have something that you can start with and have so many things available to you, but still be able to adapt it and change it and add your own name to it, whatever you want to do with it. You get a certificate of completion after you finish. There's a forum for instructors to share questions and ideas, and you get continuing support from me. When this 4-week class ends, I don't just say adios, goodbye, and gone. I stick with you. I am available for you to ask me questions. I'll help you. I'll jump online. We'll have a meeting. Whatever you need, I will be there for you for as long as you need it. For me, this is building relationships. This is not just, take this class and I'm gone. You can't get rid of me that easily. I'll stick around and I'll be there for you. And I have an ulterior motive for that too. I want to hear how you're doing. It excites me when people get back to me and tell me what they're teaching and how much they love it and things they've discovered, and they share things new with me and with other instructors. That's so exciting to hear back from people who've taken my classes. The classes are 4 Thursdays, July 24th through August 14th. It's 8 to 10 p.m. Pacific time, and then different times across the country. It's available worldwide, so you'll have a time in your area if you're not in the U.S. or Canada. All sessions are video recorded, so if you miss a class, you may access it online, so you won't miss anything. You try to be in the live class because you get to ask questions, but if something comes up and it's unavoidable and you miss it, you know that recording is going to be there. And I've had many people tell me it's just like sitting in the class almost. And everything you see on the screen that I show you when I'm teaching a class, you don't have to take a lot of notes. I would keep a pen and paper handy to jot down ideas, questions, something like that. But everything you see on the screen, PowerPoint presentations, handouts, of course, anything I put up on the screen, you receive all that. So, if you would like to follow your passion, I invite you to become a Life Story Instructor. To take the course, if you would like, and if you have any other questions, you can certainly email me, and I would love to be able to share all my materials with you. That's taking me hundreds and hundreds of hours to create, if that would be helpful for you to have that and not have to spend all those hours yourself. That's what I want to do for you and support you and have this spread around the world, continuing to touch people's lives and have people preserve their stories. To me, it's a passion, and I can see it's a passion for all of you too. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.